Hello and welcome to a new Magic the Gathering video. Today we have a unboxing of the recently released Sorin versus Tibalt duel deck. So if you've seen these duel decks before, you'll know that it's quite common to have a Planeswalker themed pair of decks, but also you will get tribal themed duel decks as well. But this is a Planeswalker one, and because of that the foil cards in each deck are Planeswalker cards. So this is two 60 card decks. You also get two deck boxes, two creature tokens, a strategy insert and a learn to play guide. Apparently between them the two decks have got a number of cards with new art, in addition to the alternative art foil versions of the Planeswalkers. So we'll have a look out for those, and within the two decks as well there are 10 rare cards. So let's open this up and see what's in the decks. And obviously these decks are supposedly designed to play well together, and that's really the point of the product. And you should also bear in mind that the decks have cards from throughout Magic's history. So for instance, these would not be standard legal. Also, because of the nature of the decks and the way they're constructed, you may notice that playing is quite variable for each game, which is in some ways is half the fun. So there's our two deck boxes. Let's open this up. The first thing I'm actually going to do is just to open up the deck descriptions, just so we can get a feel for what cards may be the alternate art, because I've not really read much about this deck before this unboxing. So we have a little bit of backstory in here, and also a little bit about obviously how to play Planeswalkers if it's not something you're familiar with. Planeswalker cards have certain special rules attributed to them. Now with all of these duel decks, they always have basically a very useful printing listing which shows you which particular notable printing the card that's in here would have come from. And of course some of these cards may have been printed before this in multiple sets. Other things is that some of these may be sufficiently old that when they originally came out may have had the original card border on them. So I'm thinking of things like Field of Souls from Tempest would have had an old style card border on it. Other interesting things that crop up is often you get some older non-basic lands which you may not have seen for a while. And I'm just looking out as I'm talking through here to just see where we've got starred up. So with the on this list, on the Tibalt list, you can see everything by a star by it is obviously a alternate art on here. So Tibalt is, and Blightning Browbeat is another one in there. And in the Sorin deck, we've got Sorin, or Mortify, Spectral Procession, Death Grasp. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 of those. Okay. There's also a couple of tokens in here as well, I believe, somewhere. So let's open the Sorin deck first of all. So there's our alternative art foil. I'll be picking out obviously the foil cards for particular attention, the alternate art cards for particular attention, and also any rares that are in here. So So Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, 2 white black. It's a planeswalker, not surprisingly. 3 loyalty, so +1, put a 1/1 black vampire creature token with lifelink onto the battlefield. -2, you get an emblem with creatures you control get +1/+0. And -6, destroy up to 3 target creatures and or other planeswalkers. Return each card put into a graveyard this way to the battlefield under your control. The other thing to notice with these cards is, rather than having the original set symbol from where the cards came, they have a particular set symbol for this dual deck. So we've got a Doomed Traveller in here, and there's 2 of those. So this is a white-black deck. Vampire Lacerator is in the deck. Wall of Omens, which is a defender. Child of Night. Dusk Hunter Bat. So we can start to see a theme here. I've got 2 of those. Obviously we're going to see bats, vampires, and other various nightmares. I've got a Mesmeric Fiend, Gatekeeper of Malakir, Twilight Drover, which is a spirit. So this is another rare. This is 2 and a white for a 1/1. Whenever a creature token leaves the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Twilight Drover. And for 2 and a white, remove a +1/+1 counter from Twilight Drover. Put 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield. So we'll also keep our eyes open for any token stuff here, or +1/+1 counters, because sometimes you know, if you get one card with it, then there might be a theme here. We've got Blood Rage Vampire, and not surprisingly it has Bloodthirst 1 on it. If an opponent was dealt damage this turn, this creature enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. Fiend Hunter. This is seeing a lot of play in the Human Reanimator deck that's currently in Standard. So this has got some interesting enters the battlefield abilities on it, and leave the battlefield. It basically exiles another target creature. The deck has Vampire Nighthawk in it. Very powerful card. Flying Death Touch Lifelink. Mausoleum Guard. Phantom General. Gives creature tokens +1/+1. Another card with Bloodthirst on it. Vampire Outcast. And also Lifelink. Revenant Patriarch. Singia Vampire. More counters on that ability. Butcher of Malakir. So this is a rare. 5/4 for 5 and 2 black with flying. Whenever Butcher of Malakir or another creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Vampire's Bite. Decompose. You can use that to exile up to 3 target cards from a single graveyard. Sorin's Thirst. Urge to Feed. So we've got a lot of one-offs in this deck. Zealous Persecution. Lingering Souls. Mortify. Spectral Procession. Two of those in the deck. Unmake. Very useful card, as I said, to exile a target creature. Ancient Craving, another rare. 3 and a black. We get to draw 3 cards, and also we lose 3 life. So often you'll find with black abilities there is that price to pay for card draw, and it often is loss of life. Mark of the Vampire. Field of Souls, another rare. Whenever a non-token creature is put onto your back, I'll start again. Whenever a non-creature token is put onto your battlefield from, hang on, sorry about this. Whenever a non-creature, So again, whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying onto the battlefield. It's been a long day today. Absorb Viz, Death Grasp. Now we're moving on to the mana base. Evolving Wilds. We've got 2 of those. We've got Tainted Field. So this is a non-basic land. We tap it, add 1 to our mana pool, and we can tap it and add white or black to your mana pool. Activate this ability only if you control a swamp. And there's 2 of those. And then we have our swamps. I don't recognise which particular set this artwork is from, although that may well be from the one of the more recent blocks. And we move on to our planes. And then we've got a spirit token. Okay, so that's our Sorin deck. And now we're going to move on to our Tibalt deck. So we start off obviously with Tibalt the Fiend Blooded. And this is Planeswalker again, 2 red to cast. 2 loyalty, +1, draw a card, then discard a card at random. -4, Tibalt the Tibalt the Fiend Blooded deals damage equal to the number of cards in a target player's hand to that player. -6, gain control of all creatures until end of turn, untap them, then gain haste until end of turn. So moving through this, Goblin Arsonist. So looks like it's going to be a very much a burn-based deck. Scorched Sulker, Reassembling Skeleton, Ashmouth Hound, 2 of those, Hellspark Elemental, 2 of those, Vithian Stinger, 2 of those, Shambling Remains, this is a zombie horror, Coal Stoker, Lavaborn Muse, so this is a rare, 3 red for a 3/3. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if that player has 2 or fewer cards in hand, Lavaborn Muse deals 3 damage to him or her. So I suspect a lot of the black cards in this are going to be stuff which interferes with your hand or your opponent's hand. Mad Prophet, Hell Rider is in the deck, so this is a rare. 2 and 2 red for a 3/3 with haste. Whenever a creature you control attacks, Hell Rider deals 1 damage to defending player. Skirkstad Cultist, Corpse Connoisseur, Scourge Devil, Gang of Devils, Bump in the Night, Blazing Salvo. We've got Faithless Looting, which interestingly enough is also in the Human Reanimator deck that I mentioned earlier. Flame Slash, Geist Flame, Pyroclasm, Recoup. There's Terminate in here. This destroys a target creature and it can't be regenerated. Strangling Soot, Browbeat. There's 2 Browbeats. Breaking Point, Sulfuric Vortex, which is an enchantment. Actually, Breaking Point was also rare. Let's look at that first. So 1 and 2 red for a sorcery, which any player may have Breaking Point, deal 6 damage to him or her. If no one does, destroy all creatures. Creatures destroyed this way can't be regenerated. And Sulfuric Vortex, also 1 and 2 red, enchantment. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, Sulfuric Vortex deals 2 damage to that player. If a player would gain life, that player gains no life instead. Lightning is in the deck with alternate artwork. So that deals 3 damage to target player and also forces the player to discard 2 cards. Flame Javelin, Torrent of Souls, Devil's Play. So if you've got plenty of spare mana kicking around, you can also use it because the next spell here to do damage to a target creature or player. And then we're moving on to our mana base, Arcum Refuge. So it enters the battlefield tapped. When Arcum Refuge enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life, and you can tap it to add black or red to your mana pool. There's 2 of those in the deck. We've also got a Rakdos Carnarium. So it enters the battlefield tapped. When Rakdos Carnarium enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. You can tap it to add black and red to your mana pool. There's 2 of those. And then we move on to the standard basic lands. So we've got mountains here. And just flicking through the artwork very quickly. I suspect this is artwork from a previous set. Again, not too sure which one, but if anybody recognises it, please comment on it. And then our swamps here. And we have a spirit token in here with this as well, but I think the spirit token obviously belongs with the Sorin deck. Okay, so there we have the Tibalt component. So Sorin versus Tibalt. Thanks for watching.